age of pistol red dots, the quality of your optic plate is a very important decision. For the mass majority of us, we want a well-built plate that can take a beating. And we also want to ensure that it can maintain zero as the round count increases. And last but not least, we also want to make sure our red dots aren't flying off our firearms. With that being said, during these last couple of months, I've had the opportunity to use an optic plate and shroud system from a company called Arise Manufacturing. And long story short, I've been very impressed. So in this video, I'm gonna take a deep dive into the product so you guys can determine if this is something you'd be interested in purchasing yourself. So what is this system and what makes it different from the competitors? Arise Manufacturing has made an optic mounting system for a plethora of your favorite pistol red dot optics on the market. This plate and shroud is well built and catered to a pretty broad audience. Whether you're a competition shooter or someone looking to use it in a more professional space, this optic plate and shroud system will more than satisfy your endeavors. The specific model that I bought from Arise was the Aegis 6 system for my Holosun 507 comp, which I decided to mount on my M&P 2.0. My main reason for buying this was to add as much protection as I could to the 507 comp. If you don't know, the 507 comp has one downfall, and it's that the optic glass slightly protrudes past the housing in the front. Meaning if you rack this optic off of something, or even drop it in the right angle, you can say goodbye to the glass. I knew this when saving up to buy this optic, and I immediately started looking for more ways to protect the glass. Hence why I ended up buying this product from Arise. With this purchase, I received my optic plate, the shroud, and the screws for the plate and shroud, blue Loctite, and some torque bits to make the installation process as easy as possible. Speaking of installation, Arise has gone out of their way to label all the screws that are to be used in order straight out of the box. I don't know about you guys, but the plate manufacturers I've used in the past didn't do this, which in turn added an extra step to the installation process. That step being figure out what screws go where. Now, when I started to install this plate onto my slide, I initially thought I was going to have a problem. The plate at first seemed to be too large for the pre-cut optic slot on my M&P. But after doing some research, I found out that these optic plates have a really tight tolerance. And you basically have to tap them in or push a little bit harder than you think to get them to snap into place. This was something that I really liked. Again, in the past, when I've used other companies' plate systems, the plates would just fall in. And then when I added the optic on top without the screws, the optic would be swimming around on top of the plate, even though the optic was properly aligned with the studs. It was only when the screws were added did the optic sit firmly to the plate. And at that time, I thought this was just normal or standard. But after I clicked my Arise plate into place, then added my optic, which too had to be firmly pushed into place, I realized how game-changing this could be. With the plate having such a tight tolerance to the slide, you take away a great deal of reciprocating force from the slide recoil away from the optic screws. I kid you not, with how snug my Holosun 507 comp fit onto my slide without the screws, I was very tempted to see if I could fire this setup without installing the screws. Obviously, I decided otherwise, but that speaks volumes on the fit and finish of the plate itself. Now, when you take a look at the side of the plate, you will see that there are holes for mounting the shroud. I like that the shroud is connected on the side rather than under the optic. This allows you to add and remove the shroud whenever you want without having to worry about disrupting your zero. And as you can see on this side, they have removed some material so you can have access to the battery tray and windage knobs. Now, I bought this optic mounting system about 4 months ago, and since then, I've run just over 6,000 rounds through this firearm with it attached. So it's fair to say that the shroud and plate have held their own. I've shot all kinds of matches with this setup. I tend to bounce around different types of matches such as USPSA, IDPA, and PCSL 2-gun. I do want to note that after shooting a few matches from Appendix and IDPA, I realized the shroud actually conceals very well. I don't have any printing in that regard, and I've started carrying the setup as my EDC for a few months now. Anyways, going back to shooting, I shoot a match on almost a weekly basis with an additional range day to keep some practice in. So needless to say, this plate has not been babied in any kind of way before making this video. Now, Arise is a very interesting company. Most of the time when you're looking to speak to someone from a company, you get somebody knowledgeable from the customer service department. And though I have zero issues with that, my experience with Arise has been different. It speaks volumes when the owner himself is willing to make himself available to you if you have issues with the product. And though our interactions have been limited, My experience with Jordan have been nothing but outstanding. And when you have an owner that is as passionate about the product as the consumer is, it really gives you comfort in what you just purchased. And to add on to that, they offer a lifetime warranty. So if you somehow are able to damage or break this piece of equipment, you can reach out to their customer service and they'll take care of you. Initially, when I bought optic plates in the past, my main concerns have been how well the plate will hold up after a considerable amount of rounds fired. I'm also concerned about how much energy is being introduced to the screws holding in my optic. But with the Rise, I can confidently say I'm not worried about those things at all. As mentioned, the tolerances are so tight that the plate takes most of the abuse rather than the screws. I do want to sidetrack and talk about some of the other products that a Rise has to offer. I know not everyone is going to want to have a shroud over their optic, and the plate that comes with the Aegis system is pretty thick. So for those looking to run a plate with no intentions of adding a shroud later, a Rise offers a low rider plate in their lineup. And as of me making this video right now, they only have the low rider available for the Walther PDP and Glocks. But this has been a pretty new addition to the product line, so hopefully we will see more releases for this line for other firearms in the future. So what are my final thoughts on this product? The Arise manufacturing optic shroud is nothing to sleep on. The future is now, and you should be using a red dot. And with the advancements of technology and optic plate systems, this one is in contention for being king of the hill. At least that's my opinion on the matter. I do want to be clear and say I have no affiliation with the Rise manufacturing as of this video. I just wanted to share a product that I have been thoroughly impressed with over the last 4 to 5 months. If you guys have any questions, definitely leave them down below. I'll do my best to elaborate on my personal experience with this product if there is a question I may not have answered. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.